Hello, Cancer, my dear Cancerians, my portals of love. Welcome to your weekly reading with me, Cindy. This week, my dear Cancerians, we are doing your current and future archetypal energy. We're going to look into what your current energy is, what your future energy is, and we're going to, once we get into the tarot, I'm going to start with oracle cards. We're going to look into what have you been working on, what have you been healing, and what is about to blossom, what is starting to blossom for you, and that's in the current energy. In your future energy, we're going to look at what you will finish working on. It may not be the same thing that you're working on now, like it could be another aspect of your life that is coming to completion. What will be healed, and what will be ready for you to harvest. So let's get started. Oh, and there is a link at there is an extended, and the link is at the top of the description. And in the extended this week, when I do these, this is like the archetype, your archetypal energies. We're going to look at the energy that exists between your current and your future. And we will look at personal challenges, distractions to be aware of, and areas to focus on in the extended, if you're drawn to it. But this one right here, right now, is for you. And that was for you, apparently. Okay. Really interesting readings. Those are. I'm getting a second archetype deck too. Gets delivered tomorrow, but I won't use it this week. I'll stick with this deck, but that one, it'll be fun to put down. Ooh. Wow, you are at the threshold. You are on the threshold. You have the threshold card. Really interesting. And then you have the shadow. I feel like a lot of polarity there. Like this is where you're going. So this is where you are. This is the energy. This is your archetypal energy for right now where you are. It's kind of like being ready to take that leap of faith. Jumping in to the new experience, to the new cycle. Moving forward. There you are, standing at the threshold. But there's a shadow. The shadow stands in the future. But yet I like this. Oh, I see it. Interesting. Yeah, I see the shapes differently, like sort of mirrored on the camera screen than I do like full on face to me. I see these two diamonds coming together to make a third diamond. It's like the dark and the light side of yourself coming together and forming something in the middle. Oh, that's kind of neat. That's like a really good balance. So, but well, let's see what the book says here. Let's see what the book says. The threshold. The threshold. The door, the gate, the initiation. We cross thresholds continually, consciously and unconsciously. Doorways, gates, and entryways grace our path on a daily basis. When this card arises, it signifies that the precipice that you stand upon is not your typical one, however. You have arrived at a threshold of initiation, here to usher you into a new reality. It requires you to leave behind the you that you thought was so well formed. A new frontier calls. This is not easy to work. This is not easy work. Threshold initiation means a part of you will be lost in order to make space for what is next. A metaphorical death must occur. Some may not recognize you. You may struggle to recognize yourself. The ground seems to crumble as you free fall into your new reality. This is the liminal realm. One step, dear friend. Just take that one necessary step toward the future that calls you. Crossing a threshold may not always be voluntary. Sometimes we are thrown across the boundary through circumstances far beyond our control. Either way, we cannot go back. In Hindu mythology, Ganesh is the ultimate gatekeeper. Look to the great elephant god for support. Hecate, Hanus, and Mention are also watching over you. When in light, growth, individuation, ease in the liminal. When dark, resisting, refusal to grow, barriers and boundaries. Wow, so it's like pretty significant energy that you're in right now. And I'd be curious to pull up more. We're going to pull a lot more cards to develop your current and your future. Let's look at the future with the shadow. I kind of find it intriguing that, you know, there'd be points, it's a sort of a, like a metaphorical death, but also like not recognizing yourself. People may not recognize you. You may not even recognize yourself. Isn't that interesting? You might, if this reading really resonates with you, you might be drawn to the Aries reading because it was understanding the new you. I don't think I've ever, in all my readings, like I kind of, in the mental way, keep track of where they kind of connect, some of the signs connect with each other. That, yeah, that's really, that feels like there's a connection there. If this reading resonates with you, you might actually get something out of that one this week. So now let's look at the energy you're going towards, which is the shadow. The shadow, the unspeakable, the unwelcome, the denied. Although every card in the archetypes deck has a shadow potential, this card asks us to delve into the qualities of the shadow itself. We often think that the shadow can be purified, illuminated, and made right through effort and achievement. However, it is typically the case that our lofty pursuit of ascension and perfection is the very source of shadow material itself. By rejecting parts of ourselves in the world, we begin to separate from the whole. Rather than getting to know the qualities and content of our shadow, we busy ourselves with avoiding its presence. This is denial. When this card appears, it is time to take inventory of those things you've been denying. When the mind responds with, no, anything but that, you are touching shadow. Find support for this deep inner work and move toward the shadow with patience and compassion. I actually like the feel of this. I'm going to tell you in a minute. The shadow of the gods are the very gods themselves. Reflect on this statement by James Hillman in The Blue Fire. What do you despise about yourself? By answering, you move toward shadow. Contemplate the following scientific observation. The closer an object, a person, place, or community is to the light, the longer the shadow it casts. It's so fascinating. When light, revealing unconscious aspects of the self and world. When dark, denying unconscious aspects of the self and world. You know, this is really fascinating, guys. Yours is an interesting reading. This shadow is really, like everything that was spoken of in the book there, is really speaking to me of exactly the duality and the polarity of existence, of everything, of the universe. The differences that can pull apart, that need to be melted and alchemized to become polar and draw together again. And then it exercises back and forth. And there was a video that I shared on my community channel, I think it was last week, and it was a really interesting explanation about the tree of life. And it talked about duality and polarity. And it spoke of the High Priestess card in the tarot is very significant of this. And it's the black post and the white post. It is the dark and it is the light. And it really is recognizing that there cannot be light without darkness. And there cannot be darkness without light. And so often, like, this is a great explanation why myself, I have a lot of difficulty with a lot of the mainstream religion, because it focuses, you know, the intent is good. I don't want to say that the intention is bad. I think the intention is good, but it is so focused on good, on light, on light, on light, on light. Like, you know the people, like, their shit don't stink, their houses, everything is like, it's so freaking fake. Like, it just becomes so fake because you're not looking at the darkness. You're not, like, you're trying to avoid it so much that you kind of become the darkness. It's a real fine balance. So I actually really like this card for you. This is really cool energy. Okay, so the other thing I was getting when I was reading that, at one point I had a little smirk on my face. I feel like anything that in the past maybe that you were drawn to, but there's a level of conscious thinking in your mind, and maybe even It could even be subconsciously. And it's playing out somehow in some sort of a moral standing, or even your own moral understanding or expectation of yourself might be coming towards you to challenge, and not to challenge you. That is not the right word. That is not what I want to use. It's coming forward to teach you more about yourself. That's exactly what it's doing. All right, let's go into, so I'm going to go into the Wild Unknown Oracle deck and pull a card for your current and future archetypal energy. I'm looking at cards and I'm waiting for the right time to show. So now I guess it is. The bottom card is the womb, and it's very intriguing how all this color is the same color that's sitting in here. And then the shadow is kind of like up in here. But, you know, and I find it interesting because you're standing at the threshold in the womb. Like, it's like a rebirth. It's like a birth, something happening here. But you need to go, think about that. Like the whole process of birth. I mean, let's try to imagine for a moment. We've all been through it, but I can't remember. I know when like a baby is in the womb, is in the tummy, the skin is stretched tight. You can shine like the fetus will react to the light. The light is kind of there, but to really come out into the light, they have to go through the birth canal. And I'll bet you it gets pretty damn dark going down there. Because the head is turned, the head ends up in the pelvic cavity. So yeah, you really, in a way, you need to go into this darkness. You need to go down into the dark tunnel to get to the light. That always comes around in these readings. I need something more original, but I guess that's what it is. Appeared quite a few times this week as an underline. Deep reflection here, very deep reflection. The duality of yourself, observing that, understanding, embrace the dark, naughty side of you. Just kidding, like embrace the dark, naughty side of you, Cancer. This is going to be really interesting. So you have for the threshold, your current energy is the turtle. It is very watery and emotional, okay? Like it's kind of an energy that you're going to be familiar with. It's very watery, very emotional, very in tune, sensing this threshold that you stand upon. And I feel like because this turtle to me is sort of slow moving through the water, slowly coming up to the surface. Coming up to the surface, but my little Padawan, soon you will be going into, you may be drawn into the darkness. But it's a different type of darkness. It almost feels like the darkness for the birth, for the womb. Now here you have, your shadow is the rabbit. Apprehension, watching, being alert, being cautious. And it's very grounded. It's trying to ground, right? It's earth energy. It's trying to be grounded here. But the rabbit is watchful. It feels like something that to you is perhaps like a dark temptation. You perceive it as that, maybe. You perceive it as a dark temptation, but it may actually lead to the light. There's a lot of, like, this is Cancer, you're a water sign, and so is Scorpio. I'm getting like this is very scorpionic energy. Just like this cycle. This is not for Scorpio. I mean, there might be people that have it in their placement and that will, you know, that will resonate with them, what I just said. But it's like this cycle you're going through is very scorpionic. It's too many because we're being very particular with which cards are going where or what here. What have you been working on? What have you been healing? And what is starting to blossom? The future, what will you finish working on? What will be healed and what will be ready to harvest? Wow. The bottom is the Daughter of Pentacles, followed by the Sun and the Mother of Cups, and then it's reversed. Ooh, wow, look at that. The Daughter of Pentacles, like the Page of Pentacles. The Sun, wish fulfillment, happiness, clarity. There's the Light. And the Mother of Cups. A love, like I feel like a loving embrace with this swan. Love, emotion, and your energy. Like your energy is sitting behind this wish fulfillment. It's almost like the birth, the rebirth. But there's, you know, this card, these two cards to me are like very innocent, delicate, gentle. I would call it yin. Very yin energy. Like very feminine energy. Watchful, cautious, maybe pulled back, analyzing the situation. Is it safe to go out? Like, are there bucks running crazy around here? Are there predators? You know what? That's kind of what that feels like. But maybe because you're cautious of the dark side. You're cautious of the dark side, Cancer. Okay, what have you been working on? Is the Four of Cups. So this is crappy stuff in your cups. Things that, no. Kind of feeling, sometimes the Four of Cups is a bit of a boredom. Bored with life. Bored of the opportunities. Bored of the lack of opportunities. Bored of the opportunities that you're getting. It's like, it's just not, meh. It's meh. It's kind of meh. Clarifiers will give us a lot more detail. What have you been healing? The Ten of Wands, the release, letting go of burdens, things that make you feel weighed down, heavy, that aren't serving you. You've been healing that whole process, which means to me you're allowing your arms to be free and open. You're no longer carrying 10 wands. You're going to be free and open. The entanglement of life too. It's just like the entanglement of that, like coming across that along a path. Oh my gosh, how am I going to work through that? You got to move it all and you try to take out one stick and then the whole thing collapses. It's, you know, it's definitely a struggle. So been healing the struggle, let's say that. What is starting to blossom is the Seven of Cups. All of the possibilities that in a way could even seem out of reach or unattainable, it is actually starting to blossom. Somebody else had the same card in exactly the same spot this week. Isn't that interesting? And it was like finally something, you know, out of all of these, I feel like there's one in particular that's going to stand out. There's one of these opportunities, one of these possibilities that is going to stand out, is starting to blossom in your current energy. Into the future here with the Shadow and the Rabbit. So what will you finish working on is the Tower. This tells me, like, if things have crumbled in your life, if things have fallen apart, if things have changed very dramatically in some way at some point. I want to put this, I would say at any point in this year, from like January forward, if there's any part of your life that you've been dealing with that has been like a Tower moment where, yeah, it's like everything changes, but everything changes so that it can be reconstructed. And here you are standing at the threshold. But there's some sort of concept change here for you with the Shadow. What will be healed? And maybe it is your understanding of this connection, the Four of Wands. What will be healed here is joy, celebration, connection to soulmates, soulmate. This will be healed. And what is ready to harvest? I love this card. I think it's one of the best cards all week for what is ready to harvest. The Wheel of Fortune. It is a shift in the karmic cycle. It's ready for you to harvest. It's ready to go. Whatever karmic cycle you've been in, it's closing off. It's harvesting. It's coming to completion, but there's always another one to come in. Pretty cool that these are both a 10, right? What have you been healing and what is ready to harvest? And they're both a number 10, completion. Completing that. Let's get into the clarifiers and dig a little deeper here. But first, I need a sip of tea. I have this new mouthwash. It has peroxide in it, and it's kind of gross. But It's really good if you have like dental stuff in your mouth. It helps to constantly heal. But I don't know. The tea is better. The tea is better. Yummier. All right, so we're gonna pull a clarify. I'm gonna go right across here. Chat amongst yourselves. You've been doing good work. I think all my viewers are actually. Well, at least I read from the people that are. There are people coming to the channel that are doing bad work. Bad. I don't think I read for them. All right. It's the bottom. 8 of Swords is at the bottom. Then it's all reversed. Interesting. This is going around quite a bit. This is kind of like the card of the last week and a half even. This is telling me you're in a chrysalis. Makes so much sense with the womb and the threshold. You're about to be born, yeah, and going into the darkness of the birth canal before you come out into the light. How am I pulling that all together? Because this started to become for me last week, this 8 of Swords, the whole reason that people were maybe not feeling like they could move forward into options or choices or take their life in direction, that they were kind of being trapped or feeling stuck. There was no possibilities of movement. It was almost like the universe had created situations around you to develop this mentality so that you did sort of stay in place because you were not ready to be born yet. You were not ready to come out. The caterpillar was not fully completed the metamorpho cycle of becoming a butterfly and hatching out. Interesting, huh? So, what have you been working on? The 4 of Cups. Things that are disappointing, didn't work out. Meh. It's like meh energy. And it's clarified by the Knight of Swords, the Hermit, and the 9 of Cups. Oh, I like this. I feel like this has gone from observing and understanding others and that around you, or trying to observing and understanding self. It's like taking that energy and just putting it right there into yourself. Really, and seeing that this has nothing to do with anything or anyone else except you and your journey. And then when you discover that, you reach like this really happy energy, this really joyful, high vibrational energy that only you are in control of. It's a completely singular. For me, the 9s, this is completely singular. This is all up to you. This is, no one else can affect this happiness. If something doesn't work out, you realize, you're sort of like, well, you know, this is just, that's not my path, and I'm good with that because I'm the only one responsible for my happiness. This brings you up to a very high vibrational energy for manifesting. Now, what have you been healing? Was the 10 of Wands, right? I didn't need a second with this group. What you've been healing. The King of Swords, the 2 of Wands, and the 7 of Pentacles. It's a little bit like how to get control back in your life. I didn't need so much time as I thought I did. Because these are like, this is the heaviness of life. These are things, and they're not serving you. When I say it's the heaviness of life, I don't mean that it's like, you know, being there for someone that really, really needs you, who's been there for you in the past, who you really care about. Like that's kind of like the 2 of Cups. And with the 2 of Cups, you will have instances of that where you need to give to someone because they're in a period of need. And then at some point they are going to give back to you when it switches. But this is sort of like stuff that's just not working out. Like you might be giving a lot of yourself and you're not getting anything back at any point in time here. Also, you may have a lot of feelings. There might be a lot of things that are just not doable, or you have to do them and there's no fulfillment in it. That's what that is. So when I see this King of Swords, like what you've been healing, and the 2 of Wands and the 7 of Pentacles, it really is like trying to get control of your life and control of the things that you want to go and find. But how to do that? Like, what's the best way to go about doing that? If this stuff from the past hasn't worked out before, I mean, how do I make this work out now? How do I get the control in that? It is a little controlling with the King of Swords. How do I get control in that? Okay, so what is blossoming? The Seven of Cups. Something in here. Oh, the King of Pentacles, the Page of Wands, and the Death card. It kind of feels like something, well, what is blossoming? But this is like something that is ended. Death is about death and rebirth. It's almost as if something is blossoming that may have died in the past. I'm going to clarify that. What comes after the Death card? What comes after the Death card? The Five of Pentacles. Oh, but then the Ace of Pentacles is at the bottom. What is blossoming? A Five of Pentacles is somehow blossoming. But to blossom is positive. I mean, that's why I put it in there. I want to show you something. I want you to focus on something that's blossoming in your life. The Five of Pentacles is blossoming. So it kind of speaks to me a little bit like a harvest. Like if you've been going through the Five of Pentacles, feeling isolated, feeling outside of something that was at one time important to you, or you felt a kinship to it. This is blossoming. And it's not good. I feel like I'm not going to get a lot of clarity because it's kind of keeping this on the same path with what I've pulled out here. So literally, either something from the past that you feel, there was a lot of stability here. I mean, with the King of Pentacles, a lot of stability, a lot of abundance. And this came to an end. The rebirth was feeling like left out in the cold. So either this being left out in the cold has happened because now, as it blossoms, it's actually guiding you to something else. I mean, it has to change. It's the Five. It's a Five. That energy is there because things have to change. Or this is changing. It's going to be specific to whatever your story is, but something is changing. So what will you finish working on was the Tower, right? The Tower, the Eight of Cups, the Justice card, and then there's the Chariot. Your energy. The Tower is something that caused you to walk away. Caused someone to walk away. It could have been, I'm kind of hearing, the Tower was not necessarily something that either you or someone else initiated, but, you know, outside circumstances in the world caused something to happen here. And in point of that separation from whoever or whatever group or people or person this was, it causes Eight of Cups, which is a lot of reflection, which is, you know, it's a little similar to the Hermit. But you may find guidance in things a little bit outside of you with the Eight of Cups. So, well, you're finished working on this, and I mean, you're going to finish working on it really, really well. Because with the Justice card, you're bringing the karmic balance into play here. And then you're from a point of stagnation moving forward. And knowing like how and when and where you want to move forward. So your Tower moment, whatever this was, at some point in your life, is coming into completion. This karmic cycle of it is, and we see that too with what's being harvested. So what will be healed is the Four of Wands, partnership, celebration with soulmates or soulmate, the Hierophant, the Strength card, and the Seven of Swords. It feels like to me that in the past you've had to walk away from what may have been soulmate connections, And the whole point of this was to either strengthen the soulmate connection and, I'm not going to say and or, because and for sure, strengthen yourself. Like to strengthen your own emotional stability, your own understanding of you. Yeah, I really feel like the Aries reading would resonate a bit with you guys. Because you're going, this Tower moment has changed you. What will be ready to harvest, guys, is the Wheel of Fortune, the Two of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and then the King of Cups. It's almost as if this balance, trying to balance things, whatever this Wheel of Fortune, this karmic cycle that you went in was very disruptive. It was, it feels like it was very disruptive. There's a lot of heavy energy that came through with it, and that's starting to clear out in your present. But then it leads you into your energy, the King of Cups. It leads you into this very high emotional stability, control over your feelings and your emotions. I want to pull a specific card. I'm going to go to a different deck. I have done this a couple times this week. I want to pull a card just for the shadow and then just for the threshold. A card for the shadow and a card for the threshold. Eight of Swords at the bottom again, Seven of Pentacles. I don't think you have to worry about, you're going through the birth canal. Kind of allow yourself to release here. The threshold, you have the Eight of Wands. There is definitely movement coming. Wow, look at, like, right? Changing this 8 into this 8. There's definitely movement coming. Okay, so you are at the threshold. The movement is about the communication, whatever that is. Travel. Now the shadow is the Three of Pentacles. So it's some sort of connection with other people here or someone else in a group, but the shadow somehow needs to be explored. Because it really does feel like, oh, it's interesting. It feels like dark and light, like yin and yang, creating some sort of new energy in the middle. Maybe whatever darkness this is, whatever shadow this is, it highlights your own light. And if it's something with someone else, if there's some sort of darkness that they associate with you, or taboo, that's what I want to say. Like, it's sort of like a taboo energy. But then it highlights, again, the light for them. So you're really giving permission here to go into sort of this taboo cycle, because there's something to be learned here in your journey. There's something for you in this journey. All right, Cancer. I'm going to go do the extended now and see what's sitting between this current and this future for you. If I see you there, great. If not, I do hope to see you here next time. Until then, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.